Hello, I'm 8mm Mauser Man, and I've had a lot of people ask me recently about my backdrop, the items on it, and also some various pieces of kit I wear, like this belt that I have in a lot of my 8mm Mauser testing videos. So I thought I would just go through and talk about some of these items, and you guys might be interested in them. So I'm going to start with the bigger stuff and work my way down. Now, this is a big ammo box that I picked up in western Nebraska. And, I don't necessarily know a ton about it, but there are some things I can know from the writing on it. So it says 1,500 cartridges of .30 caliber. Now, that could be 7.62 NATO, or it could be 30-06, but it specifically says that it is 4 parts M2 ball and 1 part M1 tracer, and M2 ball is 30-06. Now, the tracer also means that it is machine gun ammo. So somewhere it says, right there it says it's linked, which means it is machine gun ammo. Now, if this is a date, it says repackment on 4/51, so that would have been after World War II, and it's just a cool box, and I use it for some various set pieces and those kinds of things. Now, another thing I have to point out, and this is a pretty recent thing that I have a video on, is this box of German SMK ammo made in 1940. Now, this box was pretty heavily water damaged, so it wasn't really valuable, so I just kind of use it as a display piece in the background because it looks nice, and these things add some color to this very green backdrop. All right, then we come down here, and we have the M16A1 Rifle Operation and Preventative Maintenance Manual. Now, this is set up like a comic book, but it is actually the Preventative Maintenance Manual for the M16A1. I believe this one is original, and if you guys would like, I could do a full video on just this document because it's really interesting and it gives a lot of precise information about how the M16A1 was meant to be maintained and sometimes used in the field. I've had people ask me about this picture, and I think this picture is really interesting. It's not a relative of mine or anything. I actually found this at a garage sale, and I just thought it was really, really cool. So I think a friend was picking up some of the other items, and I asked if I could have this picture of this soldier. So I held on to it. But it's just a really cool old picture. I haven't tried to date it or anything, and it's actually a postcard on the back. Now, I also have this that I picked up recently at a gun show, and it is a cotton dressing made by a certain regime in the 1940s that we aren't supposed to talk about on YouTube, so I'll show you what it is, and you can fill that information in from there. That's also why there's a little sticky note spot covering that symbol. And then we also just have some stripper clips. Now, as always, there's items that I will put on or take off for specific videos, and so, I might have a rifle up here sometimes, but these are just the general items that I always have on. I'll oftentimes usually have this old H&R revolver on too. I don't keep it in its safe because I don't have any ammunition for it, and it's probably not safe to shoot, so I just keep it as a piece that is out on my table because it is pretty cool. It's just not really safe for firing, in my opinion. Now, if we move over here, we have this Landmine. This is a Polish training anti-tank mine, and I don't know quite exactly when it was made. I mean, it does have a 62 on it, so that could be maybe a year, but I've put no effort into trying identifying this. A friend basically needed to store some things at my house. One of those things was an old machine gun parts kit, and so I had that sitting in my house for a long time, and when he was done, when he was able to move all that stuff out, he gave me this landmine as a gift. So now it sits right here in my background where all of you guys can see it. I have another field manual for you. This one is the Infantry Manual for the United States from 1917. And I actually did try reading it at one point, and I still have parts to go, but I got sucked into some other books. But it has some really cool details. So one of the cool things early on, it has this diagram of the 1903 Springfield. It also has a lot of information on drill regulations, and it gave some bayonet fighting tips. Let me see if I can find the bayonet diagrams. They were pretty cool. Had bayonet fighting and training diagrams that were pretty unique. And then all the way in the back, it had 2 other pretty cool things. It has some French and English vocabulary for common phrases. That's pretty cool. At the very end, it has a form for the last will and testament of the soldier that it may have been issued to. So this is a very, very unique thing. And these aren't necessarily super rare, and in this shape, it's not necessarily very valuable. but it's really an interesting part of history that I like to hang on to. I also just have all these cloths right here. These are nothing important. They're just the pieces of either backdrop pieces, like leftover, this piece is left over from this piece of fabric, or just some other things that I've bought maybe for covering tables and that kind of thing for when I'm filming on a table for you guys so that everything looks nice and tidy. Now, I think that is everything for backdrop pieces, so let's talk about some kit items. And the first thing that we have to talk about is this ammo belt. Now, this ammo belt is a US surplus ammo belt from 1918. So it says right there, 1918 mils. And I actually found this at a Goodwill. Now, when I was there, I saw this and I was ecstatic. I was so excited to have it. And so I picked it up and it was maybe $2 or something like that. This can hold a lot of ammunition. So for 30-06 or 8mm Mauser or also 7.62 NATO, it can hold 2 clips per pocket, like that. And then it can buckle down. And then 7.62 by 54R. Okay, so 7.62 by 54R, it can hold 2 as well. So if you filled this up, you would have 90 rounds of ammunition on your person. And sometimes when I'm filming a lot of ammunition reviews all at once, it's really nice to just have all of that ammunition on my belt so that when I'm filming those videos, I can just go next 2 rounds, next 2 clips, next 2 clips, next 2 clips, and then get through all of the ammunition that I have to test that day. Because there's a pretty limited range time when I do those shooting videos, it's nice to be able to store all of that ammunition. And if I'm just out shooting with friends, it's nice to be able to put this on. Another piece of kit that sometimes shows up is this Tricom Chest Rig. This is a Chinese chest rig for the Type 56 SKS. And, you know, I don't have an SKS. I'd like to get a Type 56 someday. However, why I find this really useful is that it also fits, I don't know about polymer, but it fits steel AR mags and aluminum AR mags. So that's what I like to use because I have the M16. And if you needed a chest rig quick, this is actually a pretty nice one, honestly, for what it is. One of the things that I did, one of the little modifications, was I put these little buckles on the back. And that way, if I needed to, I could strap it on really quick. Now, I don't keep this in any state that is like ready to go necessarily. That was something I did back in the day. But I do really like that I've done that just so that I can get this on a little quicker if I did ever want to use it for something actually serious. And it's pretty easy to pull the magazines out. It's especially easy with 30s, but I have the 20 for YouTube's sake. But it's really easy to pull those mags out and get them into a rifle really quick. That's everything I have in my notes except for 2 pieces of kit that have appeared in my channel a little bit more recently. And one of them is my new safety glasses. So I wear these safety glasses just because I like to shoot some of those, I don't know, more dangerous isn't really the right word, but just some riskier ammunition. And also, with these safety glasses, I bent the frames a little bit to wrap a little closer to my head so that they would work a little bit easier with earmuffs because I also started using these Walker razors. I really like these because they are active. So either if I am taking a new person out shooting or just when I'm talking to the camera, it gets a lot easier to be more aware of my surroundings and to talk to you guys. So I can turn them on and then they are active for protection. Now I did bring these, bring the arms of my glasses in a little bit so that these could get a little closer to my head and it would have a more solid seal. And I haven't noticed any ringing when I'm shooting, even when I shoot quite a bit and shoot larger rounds. So they seem to be working pretty well, and I've been quite happy with them so far. Maybe they don't have an auto shut-off feature and I just didn't hear that. But with mine at least, I need to make sure they turn off or else the batteries die. Now, one other thing I bought because I wanted to have sunglasses for these, and these are the only ones I could find, was I bought a pair of really goofy flip-up sunglasses. Get these bad boys on. Yeah, so this looks pretty normal, and if I'm just out shooting by myself, I mean, it don't really care too much what I look like, but if I flip them up, I look like a big dweeb. But I think it is still kind of fun to have those on, and I don't do that very often. Unless, of course, it's for some sort of channel bit. Now, the other reason I went with the split frame classic safety glasses, it's not because I wanted to look like a serial killer. The actual reason is because I feel like for regular safety glasses, the like tactical modern ones, unless their sunglasses look pretty dorky, but they look like you're trying to be cool. These, it's clear I don't really care what I look like. And also I like these because I feel like they fit more of the classic or retro vibe of the channel. No one's asked about this one for a while, but I feel like I should mention it because I do get people asking about it sometimes, and that is what this thing is. This is a lapel mic, and it has a special fluffy ball called a dead cat on it, and it's something I use when I'm filming inside of my house so that there's less echo, or if there's a loud noise somewhere else in the building, it doesn't transfer through as clearly. It just gets the microphone closer to my body and closer to my head for your guys' listening pleasure. Oh, something I completely forgot to talk about is the backdrop itself. Now, this right here is a little stand/table type thing that I actually built just with some cheap 2x4s and some scrap wood that was lying around. And I built it for two reasons. One, I wanted to be able to talk to the camera and to have things sitting on the background, and it serves that purpose quite well. And also, I have a shelf right here, and I keep all of my ammunition on that shelf so that it's out of the way, but also so that if somebody comes over who's not familiar with guns and they see all of my ammo boxes, they don't think I'm some sort of crazy psychopath. I talk to a lot of people who aren't gun people, and so they don't quite understand the idea of having thousands of rounds of ammunition yet. And so the idea of me having a ton of ammunition under this is a little scary to them. It's just easier if it's not something we really need to talk about. All of that being said, I am 8mm Mauser man, and I really like Tricom Chest Rigs, but I lived on.
Which proves it's hard to get the best of a man named John.
John.